Hi guys, this video is going to be spontaneous and off the cuff, and it arose due to some comments made by someone in the comment section of Barbarossa's latest video, which is excellent. I suggest anyone who's not seen it yet, becoming a response to Fiddlebogan's Becoming Ambient, you should really check it out. It's excellent, and it really lays out some fundamental groundwork for moving ahead in general with regards to MGTOW, and it's just very important. So do check out Barbarossa's video. But I noticed in the comment section something that became a bit irksome to me, and something I've been noticing repeatedly over the course of weeks, or rather months. And basically, what we first have here is a satif, basically the same as the feminist claim, and then claiming a gentleman named Growing for Freedom claiming that Barbarossa is making assertions without evidence. Now, I don't know if this guy checked out the dozens of other videos Barbarossa made with plenty of evidence, or mine for that matter, but that's neither here nor there. And another meme he brings up, which is something that really has become an official meme in the manosphere, is just as we have same as the feminists, we have men are hypergamous too. Now, mind you, I've mentioned this before in my video entitled Protectors, Providers, Nazis, and Prostitutes. I talk about it fairly extensively, this idea that men are just as hypergamous as women are, and they do the exact same thing as women do. And I thought, at least in that video, that I presented enough evidence to refute that. And so I'm going to present a little bit more evidence and talk a little bit more about this, because I have a prediction here to make. The prediction is quite simple, that as the concept of hypergamy, female hypergamy, becomes much more of a public topic, and I think as time goes on, it will indeed become just that, more of a public topic, we're going to see the blame game and deflections. Just like, I don't know, if you cite women's irresponsibility in regards to getting pregnant, they automatically point out how many men get women pregnant, and so you'll see this sort of tit for tat thing. And I think that's what we're seeing here with regards to this concept of, this alleged concept of, well, men are hypergamous too. So let me read some of the things this gentleman wrote. Now, it all started with him saying we're just like the feminists, and this is all just a load of bullshit, and so on and so forth. And in response to a comment I made, I said something to the effect of, I can't find it right now, but off the top of my head, I'm paraphrasing, that when men start divorcing worldwide en masse, 70% divorce rates, then we can start talking. And he had a bunch of comments, responses to that. And so I'm going to read them off, because I want you to know the nature of what we're dealing with here. So one, he says, divorce statistics have a lot more to do with income than this hypergamy garbage. Hypergamy is best used to describe human nature, not female nature. If women could get off their asses and earn and invest at the same rate as the men, we would see 50% divorce rates, roughly. Unless you can aptly demonstrate hypergamous behavior as being strictly a female trait, then it is useless for MRAs or MGTOW to obsess over. Again, it's just dogma fueled by rhetoric with no evidence. Apply Hitchens' razor. Then he goes, also, when you apply hypergamy only to females and not males, then it is you who are giving a penis pass. You talk about men as if they were virtue incarnate and have this automatic sense of honor and truth and whatever else. It sounds like a male version of feminism to me, and it sends the wrong message. In the last 3 years, anybody who has stolen from me, verbally attacked me, or wronged me in a significant way was a man. Not so virtuous after all, I guess. And finally, am I? Let me ask you this. If the income roles were reversed between men and women, do you still truly believe the divorce rates would be the same? Do you really believe that women would still initiate 70% of divorces? And the only why, it's a bit broken there, the only way it is because, or the reason why, it's what he's trying to say, the reason why it is because the system is set up to give women the advantage. If men had the advantage, they would take it as well. They would also use the threat of divorce just like females do. You really give men way too much credit, and I don't know why. Now, I don't know if this is a man or a woman. It sounds like a man, specifically a mangina to me. And there are a lot of things I want to cover here regarding this. So first we have this meme of same as a feminist. So let me cover this briefly. I've talked about it before. What Barbarossa and I have been doing essentially is giving men advice on the nature of the female, the nature of a human female, so men can better equip themselves in dealing with them and make their own decisions. Giving them advice and offering information and knowledge, not speculation, knowledge that can be looked up. You can look up the data, you can research it, on the nature of women. Because my contention is that women usually don't have the best interests of men at heart, and men have been lied to about that. That is the main issue. Men have been lied to about the nature of themselves, about the nature of women, and the nature of that interaction between the two sexes. My advice, at least, is that men avoid relationships, at all costs avoid marriage, and opt out of the system, essentially, however the system is to be described. Opting out of the system, that is the main line of thought with regards to MGTOW, is nothing at all like SATIF, same as the feminists. So the feminists want government largesse, they want protection and provision from the government, and they want men to pay for it. So there's just no similarity whatsoever. The other issue is that I don't know if this man or woman, checked out some of my videos or Barbarossa's, but we back up what we say quite frequently. So this idea that it's just we're just talking out of our asses with no evidence is a load of malarkey, quite frankly. Feminists do. Feminists don't have evolutionary psychology. They don't have in-group female preference studies. They don't have divorce statistics and so on and so forth. They don't back it up. So I don't know what he's talking about in that regard. Same with the feminists. That's easy to refute. But let's talk about this meme. And it is a meme that's been cropping up increasingly, this idea that men are hypergamous too. Yeah, right. Well, I'm going to bring a little bit of information into this. So a while back, Barbarossa made a video about traditionalism, bottom line. He talks about China and India and so on and so forth. So Forbes a while back published an article that was conducted over the course of 25 years by the Journal of Family Issues. Let me read off what it says here. So, if you think it's an old archaic husband's tale that you need to make more money than your wife, think again. Research set to be published in the Journal of Family Issues next month concluded that women who make more money are more likely to divorce. Let me repeat that. Research set to be published in the Journal of Family Issues next month concluded that women who make more money are more likely to divorce. The 25-year study showed that women who earn a bigger salary than their husbands are 40% more likely to divorce compared to women in the opposite situation. If you think that your affluent background can help you, even though you're making less than her, it won't. The study showed that regardless of how rich or poor the couples were, the breakup percentages remain the same. Finally, in Forbes, this gentleman Michael Noor talks about this. How do women, this is not necessarily my viewpoint, this is simply what he said, how do women, careers, and marriage mix? Not well, say social scientists. Guys, a word of advice, marry pretty women or ugly ones, certainly not my advice. Short ones or tall ones, blondes or brunettes, just whatever you do, don't marry a woman with a career. And so it goes on here. To be clear, we're not talking about a high school dropout minding a cash register. For our purposes, a career girl has a university level or higher education, works more than 35 hours a week outside the home, and makes more than $30,000 a year. And my point here is simply that they conducted a study for over 25 years showing that, yes, women who make more money than their husbands are more likely to divorce than women who don't. Well, this points to several things. One, women who make more money than their husbands don't need their husband's money, and we know that women are together with men primarily or they had been because they needed them, because they wanted protection and provision. And this illustrates quite nicely that women will reject marriage once achieving a protection provision for themselves. If they earn significantly more than their husbands, or even just more, period, they will have less use for the relationship than ever before. Of course, women who don't earn as much still need more so the money and resources of the husband. And of course, this nice study refutes this absurd notion, this claim the gentleman makes, that if women could get off their asses and earn and invest at the same rate as men, we would see 50% divorce rates. I think not. This study disproves that's simply not the case. In fact, it's more likely, and this is my hypothesis, that based on this study, divorce rates would skyrocket. They would increase. Maybe not at 40%, but that's what the study says. That over a 25-year period, they were 40% more likely. So divorce rates would increase if women, on average, were to earn more than men. There you go, sir. You wanted evidence. You say we're talking out of our asses. Why would Forbes publish an article that, based on research conducted in the journal Family Matters, Family Issues, they're just making it up? Are we just making that up? Check it out for yourself. This is just absurd. So this idea that hypergamy is a universal behavioral trait to human beings and not women is just, it's a bit out there. It's far-fetched. Furthermore, we have to look at the sexes in a differentiated manner. If men, in fact, were just as hypergamous as women were, then what we would see is the male equivalent of female hypergamy. Women want protection provision from men. And so what men would do, if they in fact were hypergamous, as this gentleman claims, is they would be trading in their older, wizened wives left and right for younger models on a constant basis. And if that happened, you better believe we would be hearing from it all over in the media. It's not happening. The divorce statistics as they stand now don't suggest that. Men are not getting divorced en masse. They're not initiating most of the divorces. If they were as hypergamous, they would be initiating divorces constantly or at a 70% rate or an equal rate to women. And there would be, the 45 or 50-year-old man would be getting a 25-year-old wife as opposed to his beat-up 39-year-old wife. He's not doing that, though. That man is not doing that. Most men are not doing that. So this guy, he talks about speculation and talking out of your ass. Well, this is what he's doing. Unless you can aptly demonstrate hypergamous behavior as being strictly a female trait. Yeah, we've demonstrated it. I've just demonstrated it again. Over a 25-year period, 25 years, women who make more money than their husbands are 40% more likely to divorce than men. Now, we need more studies on this, but it certainly is a strong start, to say the least. Now, he also, as I said, he mentioned, if the income roles were reversed between men and women, do you truly believe divorce rates would be the same? Do you really believe women would still initiate 70% divorce? So I like living in reality myself. Sometimes I don't like it, but we do live in reality. And the reality is the situation we have now, with women initiating the large majority of divorces, with women displaying this hypergamous behavior. We can speculate all we want, and if you subscribe to physicist multiverse theory, then there might be a version of our world in the multiverse where it's the exact opposite. But that's not the world we live in. That's not our multiverse, our universe within the multiverse, is it? So let's stick to reality. Let's stick to what actually is, as opposed to what might be in some other realm. So I think we're going to continually see this. We don't need to speculate about hypergamy, because hypergamy is displaying itself on a constant basis. Your average woman, not feminist, as Barbara also rightly points out, your average woman, the lowercase f feminist, is the one initiating no-fault divorce claims. She's the one filing false domestic violence charges and so on and so forth. I mean, why are they doing it? Are they being coaxed by the feminists? This evolutionary pussy pass, which I think Barbara also has described very aptly, I mean, you see this at work in this gentleman's words. I'm assuming it's a man. we give women a break no matter what they do. And if you can't give them a break, then you deflect. And you turn it around and you say, but men do that too. The only problem with hypergamy, sir, is that men don't do it too. And we have ample evidence to demonstrate that. If men were equally hypergamous, as I've just said, they would be trading their wives left and right for younger models. That's what men like. They like youthful, beautiful women. And they're not doing that. Maybe there's something to this idea that men are more loyal. It's not to say that men are not without flaws. We talk about those flaws all the time. The male mother need, the male's almost sycophantic desire to please the female. And in fact, we see the male desire to please the female, the mangina-ness, if you will, in your comments, sir, Growing for Freedom. We see just that. These claims that, which are based on nothing but your own speculation, that if women were to earn as much as men and invest just like men would, then the divorce rates would be 50-50. And yet the study I've provided or alluded to shows the opposite, that divorce rates increase when women. Why? And why do they do that? Why do women who make more money divorce at a higher rate than other women, apart from not needing the husband's finances anymore, being independent? Women are only together with men, usually, mostly, because they need certain things from men. Take that out of the picture, they're not going to be together with them. It'll be less likely that they're together with them. Moreover, and this is coincides and dovetails with this. I think a woman who earns more money than her man, because respect for a man is based on his doings and particularly his status, financial status, is going to look at that man with a lot less respect than she would someone who earns a lot more than she does. So not only does she no longer need him, he's an insignificant worm as well, because he's making less money than she is, and we certainly can't have that. But as I've said, this is going to repeat itself. This meme, the more hypergamy gets talked about in the open, the more we're going to hear about this idea that men are just as hypergamous, even if it's not backed up by anything. But this is classic. This is typical. You talk about women cheating at an equal rate to men, or even at a higher rate. They'll say, well, men do this and that. You talk about women's irresponsibility with regards to pregnancies and deceiving men. Say, well, men get pregnant, women pregnant too, and he made a mistake when he... So this is this typical deflection. And what I think is that this horrible male flaw that we all have on some level, to please the female no matter what the cost, and to give the evolutionary pussy pass no matter what the cost, no matter how irrational it is exists on a subconscious level. I don't even think this gentleman writing these comments, making these comments, knows what he's saying. He's really just he's the one making stuff up. I mean, hypergamy garbage. It exists for no. It clearly does not. It clearly does not. And on a final note, there are very telling reasons why even let's cast the study aside, even, which I don't think we should, but let's just say the study is invalid and we don't even want to look at it. Men act the way they do, and women act the way they do because we evolved in a certain way. Now, if you look back at my one of my older videos, I cite a study which, based on genetic evidence, shows that 40% of past males lived on to reproduce, and 80%, double that of males, lived on to reproduce. What does that tell you? We have lived on within a paradigm of reproduction that favored female life because, on some level, it was necessary in the past. 20,000 years ago, it was, as an example, it was necessary that the limiting factor in reproduction was preserved, her life was preserved over that of a male. That's no longer the case in the world. However, we are still running on that programming. And part of our programming as males is this desire to constantly please women, to give them a free pass no matter what their behavior might be. And it's something that we need to grow out of. We absolutely have. An internet acquaintance of mine said something to the effect, the bottom line is men, not women, men would rather have sex with a woman than see her body on a battlefield, and that's true. We evolved over thousands, if not millions of years, to provide protection and provision to women. It's part of our biology, our instincts, our urges, and women likewise have evolved to depend on that. So, in a case where she is earning more than he is, it makes perfect sense under that paradigm, within that framework, that she would want to divorce him. Why? Because he's not giving her anything what she needs. This is their mentality. This is how they have evolved. They've evolved, for better or worse, to extract resources, mental, emotional, material, from men to their own benefit, for the sake of their own benefit and their direct progeny in many cases, although that's also not very consistent with regards to the progeny issue. And they don't show any signs, or not showing any signs of wanting to change that. In fact, as Barbarossa very aptly and symbolically pointed out with regards to the alcoholism, yes, they're like a person with a horrible genetic penchant for alcoholism that's just, hopping in the car after chugging 3.5 bottles of whiskey. I don't believe women want equality in the sense of with all the attendant negative drawbacks to that. They're not displaying that. They're not indicating that they want that inequality, that aspect of inequality with inequality. So once again, be on the lookout for as time goes on for this absurd notion that hypergamy is somehow not unique to women, but shared by both males and females in equal measure. We need to be aware of this, just like once the shit hits the fan, I think a lot of men's groups, whether they're MGTOW or MRAs or whatever, quite possibly could be labeled with the same as a feminist. Oh, you're just doing the exact same as a feminist, even though there's no evidence to suggest this. And we're not trying to extract wealth from individual females. We're not trying to extract wealth from the government. We basically just want to be left alone, and we want to be able to preserve our own lives and live on our own terms. And we want to be aware of our own biology, our own male flaws, many of which have to do with our susceptibility to female wiles. And we want to be able to navigate the rather harsh waters that we find ourselves in. And that is just completely different to any claim or anything feminists have done, who really want involvement with the government and everything that goes along with that. So, like I said, off the cuff, but be on the lookout for this meme. I think it's going to be cropping up more and more frequently as time goes on, as more and more people become acquainted with the terminology, with the term itself of hypergamy. You will hear this repeatedly. Well, men are hypergamous too. And the way you're going to hear it, my prediction is, well, men want younger wives, blah, blah, blah. Even though the statistical evidence doesn't back that up, that's what you're going to hear. Anyway, have a good evening or morning, depending on your time zone, and take care. And yeah, do check out Barbarossa's video. It's very, very good. I mean, all of his videos are good, but I think it's very important to watch because much like Barbarossa, I'm tired of talking about capital F feminism. At the very least, if we're going to talk about capital F feminism, we have to talk about the complicity of the lowercase f feminists, because we're not getting anywhere if we just talk about feminism as an ideology and women have nothing to do with it. And that's essentially the sales pitch we've been hearing. And this is this gentleman whose sales pitch as well. Women are exonerated. It's all about the evil ideology feminism, which of course had its inception in the dark clouds which descended from Mount Olympus somehow, or something to that effect. Anyway, take care.